One of the highlights of the HLTV Awards was this computer just outside the after party, where anybody could come along and try to get a high score in a custom map, featuring several shooting galleries. It was very popular, and you can play it for yourself right now in the Steam Workshop. But at the event, if you were a pro player, you had something to prove with this. And if you weren't a pro player, then you had even more to prove. Especially earlier in the weekend, with a lucky run you could get quite high up into the scoreboard. And then every pro player who played after you would be trying to get your name off that scoreboard. Of course, you're sat there out in the open with pro players stood behind you, queuing up, waiting for their go, and just one more go doesn't cut it when there are people waiting. If only there was a way to practice this map beforehand. I managed to do that a bit at the event. I snuck along earlier in the day when it was a bit quieter to jam in a few practice sessions. Another strat was to see who the top players on that chart were, then to follow them around all day until they revealed their secrets. But this year I won't need to do any of that because they've released the new map publicly for everybody to play on already. It's pyramid themed and it currently contains 4 challenge minigames, each a tribute to a player from HLTV's Hall of Fame. Inside the room is a player profile and a brief summary of their achievements, and then a minigame that you can play to honour their memory. Not that they're dead or anything. So the first room is Heaton's, which HLTV sees as Counter-Strike's first global superstar, helping put esports on the map. For his minigame, you must defend Aztec's bombsite against growing waves of enemies, a callback to an ace he got against 4 Kings in the early days of Counter-Strike. In terms of shooting skill, I found this to be the toughest challenge of the lot. The enemies love to come from awkward angles and to clip you through your cover, and you don't have much to hide behind in the first place. Also, occasionally it will take ages for enemies to come out of hiding. HLTV, please fix. The next room is Potti's, who founded and then led Ninjas in Pyjamas for a time. This is a team that all 4 players in this Hall of Fame have been part of in some way, and for his minigame, it's pretty much retake based around bombsite A of Nuke against 5 enemies, representing Potti's clutch abilities. There are several renditions of the map from over the years, from the Gold Source versions through to Source 2. The enemies in this one aren't too challenging, but inevitably you'll eventually get caught out by 3 of them rushing out at the same time. The third room is GetRight, known for his time playing for Ninjas in Pyjamas and for his lurking playstyle, and for his passion towards the game. In his room you get to choose a gun you want to use, and then his minigame involves you mowing down enemies rushing up Banana. But take your time, for these enemies won't shoot back at you. The goal here is to manage your spray control, killing them all in one long firing pattern. But for the best accuracy score you just want to tap their heads individually, which is also allowed, but miss and it resets. Also, here you're at the mercy of the bot's pathfinding, as they will often sidestep just as you're about to shoot. And the last room currently featured in the map is for Forrest, who, like GetRight, has a career in Counter-Strike spanning 2 decades, playing for teams like Fnatic, SK Gaming, Dignitas, and Ninjas in Pyjamas. His minigame has no shooting at all. To honour his fluid movement and incredible aim, his challenge is a surf/jump map, and it's one of 2 stages. The first is easy, or at least it should be if you know what you're doing, but the second is the star of the whole showcase for me, because it's almost impossible. I was there in Cologne when HLTV unveiled this map, and it was this stage that everybody ended up spending the most time on, mostly because it's pretty much unwinnable. But also, just one more go. Maybe this time it will be different somehow, even though you'll just attempt the same thing again and again and again. It was actually beaten by somebody who was there on opening night, and maybe with enough practice, you'll be able to beat it too. But it was a bit beyond me, although I did get close to beating it a few times on the night. I will say though, these minigames don't have the same feel to them as the ones from last year's HLTV Award computer booth. Those were very much about aiming and beating challenges as quickly as possible, whereas these minigames I've shown here have a set limit to how good you can get at them, and less potential for there to be a leaderboard of some sort. But maybe that's because of what this map is. It's meant to be an interactive museum and digital playground, designed to preserve the legacy of Counter-Strike's greatest icons. And also, at the HLTV event early next year, 3 more players will be inducted into HLTV's Hall of Fame. And among receiving other things, will also get their own brand new dedicated challenge on this map. I wonder who those new players might be. So maybe those new rooms will be the ones that everybody at the event will have to compete in. It would be a lot more fair than using the ones already present, especially when some people may have cheated by practicing on them for months already. But yeah, give this map a go. It's a nice break from competitive Counter-Strike, and a sweet little tribute to some of the players who have made this game great. Check it out in this video's description.